Hello, friends from across the nation and around the world. I'm Martin, and you are listening to Dad's Anytime Stories, the podcast that, takes books I've written and reads them chapter by chapter. Today we're headed back into the Cards of Power, Volume 1, for Chapter 10. And before we get started, I just want to thank a few of the people who inspired Chapter 10 in the first place. So, thank you to Ned from England, who suggested the fire panda, which you are, you're going to meet it in this episode. And thank you to Sawyer, who came up with the lightning tiger. Both of those characters come up in future episodes, future chapters, so check them out there. If you like the podcast, don't forget to rate it and review it. That is the best way to help the podcast. And if you want to check out ad-free episodes, you can do that on my Patreon, which will be linked below. Also, if you like my stories, I've been running a podcast called Dad's Bedtime Stories for almost 3 years now. We have almost 600 stories up there, which are all sort of, optimized for bedtime with some relaxing music that kind of fades away at the end. But enough about that. Time for the chapter. Chapter 10, Thunder and Flame. Carter awoke to the familiar comfort of his log cabin, the magical mansion that never ceased to amaze him. It looked small from the outside, just a humble cabin nestled in the woods, but once inside, it transformed into a sprawling lodge of luxury, filled with rooms and features he still hadn't fully explored. He blinked the sleep from his eyes and realized he'd dozed off in the living room. Curled up at his feet, like a particularly smug house cat, was Magnus, his dragonling companion. The little fire dragon stretched and stirred. Good morning. How are you today?" Magnus asked, blinking his glowing amber eyes. "I'm okay," Carter replied, rubbing his face. "But I'm definitely ready for a little adventure. I was thinking we'd head back into town and see if there's any word on cool magical creatures nearby." Magnus stood, stretched like a cat again, and nodded. "That sounds like a great idea. Let's go." Together, they stepped outside. Carter took a final glance at the log cabin, small and unassuming from the outside, and reached out his hand. The cabin glowed a warm blue, shimmered, and dissolved into a card that floated to his hand. He tucked it into his card core with a practiced flick of his fingers. He focused again, this time summoning his magic wing card. Twin arcs of glowing energy sprouted from his back, lifting him gently into the air. With a single nod to Magnus, who flew beside him using his own wings, the two soared high above the intermediate forest. From above, the vast green stretch of forest resembled a slice of pie, with Turnaround Town sitting neatly at the tip. They angled toward it, wings slicing through the air. As they reached the gate, Carter dismissed his wings and dropped to the ground, landing softly before the two of them walked side by side into the heart of town. Their first stop was the card shop. A bell jingled as they stepped inside, and the kindly old shopkeeper turned from a wall of neatly organized cards. "Well, if it isn't one of my favorite customers," he said, smiling. "Welcome back." "Thanks," Carter said. We're just here to see if you've heard anything. Any cool, magical creatures in the area?" The shopkeeper scratched his beard thoughtfully. "You may be in luck. I've recently heard rumors. 2 very powerful creatures have been spotted in the jungle zone. One of them, they say, is a fire panda. And the other? He lowered his voice. A lightning tiger. Carter's eyes lit up. Those sound amazing. Yes, indeed. They'd make a fine addition to your team, or... The shopkeeper gave a sly grin. If you're not interested in keeping them, I'd take them off your hands for a very good price, of course. We'll check them out, Carter said, already turning for the door. Thanks. Back outside, Carter and Magnus wasted no time. Carter summoned his wings again, and together they launched into the sky, this time heading toward the jungle region of the intermediate area. From above, the canopy of trees below looked endless. Shades of green stretched in all directions. It was hard to spot anything from up here. It all just blended into an overwhelming wash of foliage. But then, a flash of blue light. There, Carter pointed without hesitation. He angled his wings and soared toward the flicker. Another flash cut through the treetops. Carter drew his energy sword in midair, using its blazing blade to slice through the thick canopy. He carved a small opening and floated down through the gap. The jungle floor welcomed him with more space than expected. Sure, vines and underbrush cluttered the area, but it was manageable. Magnus landed beside him. I think I found it, he said, ears perking. This way. The dragonling darted ahead, weaving through the trees like a spark through a fuse. Carter followed close behind, gliding just above the forest floor and ducking low branches, his reflexes sharp as ever. Suddenly, Magnus came to an abrupt halt, eyes fixed on something ahead. Carter landed and followed his gaze. There, just beyond the trees, was a creature unlike any he'd seen before, sleek, striped, and crackling with energy. A lightning tiger. It locked eyes with them. Then, in a blink of blue energy, it vanished. Oh, where did it go? Magnus asked, spinning around. The answer came in the form of a sharp zap and a sudden blur. Carter's shield card instinctively activated just in time. The tiger appeared directly behind him, unleashing a blast of lightning that sent both him and Magnus flying. Carter crashed through trees and skidded to a halt against a rock. His shield had absorbed the blow, but that was a hit unlike he'd taken before. Groaning, he summoned his rock armor for extra protection. His sword appeared in one hand, shield in the other. Magnus climbed to his feet and shook off the dust. His veins began to glow molten red. He let out a growl as his body expanded and stretched into his evolved dragon form. His tail, wings, hands, and even his head ignited. He summoned the flames inward, then blasted them forward in a stream of pure fire. But the lightning tiger vanished again in a flash, reappearing beside Magnus and zapping him mid-blast. This time, though, Magnus held his ground. He intercepted the bolt of lightning mid-air. With a snarl, he walked slowly towards the tiger, resisting the full current. Once in range, he unleashed another torrent of flame from his free hand, engulfing the tiger. The tiger stumbled, groaned, and then collapsed peacefully on the ground, asleep. All in a day's work, Magnus said, shrinking back to his smaller self. Carter approached the downed creature, sensing its energy. He activated his card core and reached out a hand. The tiger glowed bright blue before dissolving into light and reforming into a card. He plucked the card from the air. Lightning Tiger. capable of producing large quantities of electricity and moving at lightning speed. Cool, Carter muttered, slipping it into his secondary deck. All right, now let's go find the fire panda. Magnus craned his head upward, then fired a wide plume of fire into the canopy above. It burned a neat hole through the trees, letting the sunlight pour through. Just as quickly, he snuffed out the flames and smoke by somehow absorbing them back into his body, leaving no damage behind, just a perfect escape route. Together, they soared back into the sky. Carter scanned the jungle from above, searching for signs of fire. With the creature called a fire panda, finding it shouldn't be too difficult, and it wasn't. A thick trail of smoke curled into the sky not far from their location. That had to be it. "We're gonna need help putting that out," Carter said, already reaching into his card core. He summoned the water dragonling, a blue counterpart to Magnus with shimmering fins and bright aqua eyes. It took to the air beside them, flying fast and low over the burning forest. Magnus used his fire-controlling abilities to douse the flames, while the water dragonling pulled water from nearby lakes and unleashed massive jets to suppress the blaze. Meanwhile, Carter focused on the ground below, trying to locate the creature behind all of the destruction. He summoned his shield, sword, and armor again, just to be safe, and floated downward toward the heart of the blaze. That's when he saw it. The fire panda lumbered through the jungle, a burly black and white bear-like beast with flames roaring across its shoulders, paws, and back. With each step, it scorched the ground beneath it. Carter dropped in front of it. The panda turned, stared, and hurled a fireball in his direction. His energy shield absorbed the brunt of it, dropping to 90% in the process. "All right then," he muttered, eyes narrowing. Before he could summon help, another fireball blasted him. His shield dropped again, 85%, then 80%. Time to even the odds. He reached into his card core, summoning the electric bunny and the grass bunny. The electric bunny launched into the air and fired a storm of bolts. The panda paused, distracted, as the grass bunny summoned thick vines to wrap around its legs. The panda growled, its flames intensifying. The vines turned to ash. Carter winced. Well, that didn't work. The electric bunny fired again, one bolt from each paw. The panda roared in response, flames flaring even hotter, igniting everything around it. "All right, my turn." Carter stomped his foot, channeling his rock armor's power to summon a barrage of boulders from deep below. He hurled them at the fire panda with precision. They struck it hard, throwing it off balance and knocking it back. The panda snarled, stumbled, and wavered. For a second, Carter thought it might keep fighting. Instead, it teetered and then collapsed, eyes closed, gently asleep. Carter dismissed his sword, armor, and shield and walked over to the fallen panda. Magnus and the water dragonling were still hard at work extinguishing the last of the blaze. Carter activated his card core and placed a hand on the panda's side, sensing its fiery, stubborn energy. The creature shimmered and glowed, transforming into a floating blue card. He grabbed it. Fire Panda, a very mean and very fiery panda. "Huh," Carter said, slipping the card into his secondary deck. "Not sure I need another fire type, but it's nice to have options." With the Fire Panda card secured, Carter turned his attention back to the charred jungle around him. The ground was blackened, the trees reduced to smoldering trunks. The air still smelled like smoke. "I wonder if we can do something about this," he said aloud. As if responding to his thoughts, the grass bunny walked up beside him. "Think you can fix it?" he asked. The grass bunny looked around, nodded firmly, and leapt onto the scorched tree stump. Its eyes began to glow green, and slowly, life started to return to the jungle. Vines burst from the ground, wrapping around burned trees and revitalizing them with fresh leaves. Shrubs unfurled, flowers bloomed. The canopy rebuilt itself overhead as new branches stretched toward the sky. Before long, it looked as though the fire had never happened at all. Carter called his cards back to his card core, then gave Magnus a nod. "Let's get some rest." "Agreed," Magnus said with a yawn. Carter summoned the log cabin camping card. The familiar little cabin appeared before him, nestled among the now green trees. He opened the door and stepped inside, Magnus trotting behind him. The inside was as luxurious as ever, his own personal mansion tucked away inside a card. Carter made his way straight to the bedroom, and before long, he was fast asleep.